Welcome to The Knock, a podcast where we dive into real stories of real people who have experienced life before Christ and the transformations that come when they answer the knock. Whether you're rooted in faith, feeling distant, or still unsure what you believe, our prayer is that these conversations stir something inside you. Every story we share points back to the same truth. When you open the door, everything changes. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Knock podcast. I am here today, honored to have Jeff Garner. So Jeff owns a property management company in the St. Louis. What's the name of that company, Jeff?
Homestretch Property Management.
Homestretch Property. Jeff's a follower of Christ. We actually had some good pre-talk before this, kind of wrestling through it just like we all are. Single dad of 3.
Yep.
Girls, boys?
All boys.
All boys. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So that probably helps a little bit that they're all boys.
Oh yeah. God knew what he was doing. He's like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, because the nurturing side for a single dad, I can see that lacking.
Should be a all boy or totally spoiled one of the
other. For sure. But yeah, man, so happy to have you on. And Jared, you doing well today?
Yeah, I'm ready to get after it today.
There you go. Yep. There you go. So for those of you that are just tuning in, maybe it's the first episode that you're listening to, this is a testimony-based podcast. We don't come in here with any sort of script. At the end of the day, the story is about what God has done in Jeff's life. So I'm excited to get into it, man.
Yeah, me too, man.
This will be cool. So the first question we've been asking, and I feel like it's a good conversation starter, is, what's God doing in your life right now? Is there any area of your life that God's like tugging on you? Like what's going on with you and God today?
Man. I just feel like I'm just constantly developing. It's like every day is a do-over for me to try to clear my mind and stay focused to where, like, if I pray, I'm not thinking of 17 other things while I'm trying to pray.
Yep.
So I can be quiet and just get closer to God and more, just more on the path and not so easily distracted. I feel like that's where I'm at with God today. It's like, if that makes sense,
No, dude, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. And in relationship, I'm in a relationship and I've bounced in relationships a lot in my life, worked through a lot there. And I'm trying to learn how to just love her like God does, and and not be tempted so easily.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's, we talk in these conversations that there's a conversation that we had earlier in the week or something that's relevant to this conversation today. It always happens.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I was sitting down with Pastor Ron from our church at lunch.
Yeah.
And we were having a great conversation, and he framed this in a way that was, I've never heard it before, because I sat down and I told him, I was like, hey, one of the biggest compliments that I've received in the last couple months, and really it's the biggest compliment of my life so far, was from my wife. So we're sitting there and we're talking. I think we were on vacation out in California, but we're sitting there talking, and she's like, you know what? She's like, I'm more attracted to you right now. And I'm like, I'm thinking for a second. I'm like, okay. Like, I get it, I get it. Yeah. But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, she knew me. So we started dating when she was 19 and I played college football. My body's been a lot more, muscular. I had more hair, right? So in terms of like my physical appearance, I'm not as good looking as I was when I was young, for sure. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's a good compliment, but I know I got a little fluff on me right now. I got some work to do in the gym. And so I'm like, why? And she's like, well, your peace that comes from your relationship with God, like that's what's attracting me to you right now. And so I'm sitting there talking to Pastor Ron about this earlier today. And he's like, I try to tell everybody that's starting off in a new relationship, there's something inside women that it's just innate. It's natural. Like the closer that you get to God, like the more attractive they find you. And then it was just funny. It's like, we're all guys sitting here, and it's like in a marriage, like what do guys want? And it's like a closer way to get there is to have a better relationship with God. So we laughed about that, and but it's true. It is true. And you saying that, you bounce around from relationships and stuff like that, man. It's, you bring up a good point. I mean, Ephesians, like love your wife, love your, significant other, like Christ loved the church.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good, man.
Yeah. That's, I actually started that for my ex. Like I started that came to me in my prayer and meditation in the morning for my ex, because we have a sort of kind of a tumultuous relationship at times.
Yeah.
And I have some dark thoughts about her. You know what I mean? When things are rough, you're like, "Ooh, I just wish she'd, whatever, drive off a cliff or something." It's like, no. If everyone's made in God's image, and He loves everyone equally, then I don't know why she's like this, but God loves her, and I'm supposed to be more like Him. So it just was like, okay, God, show me how to love her like you do. Not in any other way than just, not in any meaning I want to get back together with her in any capacity, but just help me to love her like you do. And maybe it'll make for an easier relationship. Maybe it will help her and or me in those things. Like when I told you one of the things I'm working on is being able to stay in that place to where I rely and trust God. And I know that He's running the show, not me. Because when I'm there, nothing phases me. Right? I'm great. I just do my part.
Yeah.
And but I get pulled off so easy. Social media work, the 1,000 things we have coming at us as real estate guys.
Yeah.
And that. So I started that, and then I thought, you know what? I need to be doing that in my own relationship today.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. Real quick. Well, we're probably not going to cut this out this time, but we always forget to pray at the beginning. We're going to say a prayer real quick.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let me adjust too.
Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity to sit down with Jeff and just to hear his testimony, Lord, the works that you've done in his life, in all of our lives, Lord, the things that you've delivered us from, just the trials that you've stood next to us in, just whether we've noticed it or not, you've always been there for us, Lord. And we pray that through this conversation that the Holy Spirit is present, Lord, that through Jeff's testimony, that somebody out there hears this and it points to you, God, that it points to what has changed all of our lives, which is a relationship with Jesus. Lord, we pray that through this, that, the words that we speak are not our words, Lord, that the Holy Spirit uses us to relate, to have an impact on somebody out there. And we just ultimately ask for a fruitful conversation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Jeff, I think you bring up a really good point about the distractions, and because I know in the beginning you're talking about your quiet time. And I know for guys like us that are in fast pace, like real estate is always changing.
Yes,
it's like that is one of my biggest struggles, probably in this room
for sure, is
taking 30 minutes, whether it's in the morning or just throughout the day, to sit and be quiet and listen. And, read your word, but listen to what God has to say to you. And I'm right in the same boat. It's like there's so many different distractions, whether it's my daughter upstairs screaming to get out of bed, or it's my phone buzzing, something for social media or for work, or a seller calling. It's always a consistent distraction. It's the busyness that the enemy wants to put on us to pull us away from that quiet time, because that is where a lot of pruning happens and a lot of where fruit starts to grow. So man, I mean, it's a struggle for myself as well.
Yeah.
It's like that morning time for me. What I learned is that's the real morning time. I would love to hear what God's got to say. I'm not there yet. I hear him in you guys, and I hear him from people. I feel like God speaks to me through people in my day more than anything. Yeah. I just want to get to where I can be quiet long enough to say my prayers and do my readings and just be there.
Yeah.
And then maybe I can start to hear from there, but that'd be a great, that's, and it's a start to the day.
Yeah.
That helps me start with the intention of being quiet and, being inspired and or trying to be grateful to help the 1,000 things that'll fly at us.
Yeah.
When we're getting in the groove,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big perspective of, the changer for me was that in all of those meaningful areas of life, so relationships, your kids, all of those things that are really, really impactful, your community, usually you're able to kind of satisfy those things through the overflow of that relationship with God. So, right? Like, I don't know if I talked about it last time, but, picture a bunch of cups like lined up on a wall. And the first one is your relationship with God. Well, you pour into that cup and it starts to overflow. Well, then now you have some liquid going into your relationship and your kids. And as long as that's in the God honoring kind of hierarchy of God, then, spouse, then kids, I think that's a good way to approach it. Right.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great analogy.
It's the necessity of that time in the morning of you kind of slowing down and being prayerful and all that stuff. But man, I think it goes back to the John Mark Comer book. And I don't even think this was his quote. I think it was just in the book. It was from somebody else, but it's, if the devil can't make you sin, he's going to make you distracted.
Yeah. Or make you busy.
Yeah. It's busy or distracted. Whatever the quote.
Yeah.
Jared's trying to hijack the quote right now.
I'll just add in an extra piece, but yeah.
There you go. But, yeah, man. So all that's kind of, good to start us off with. So, obviously we're here to talk about your testimony. So, talk a little bit about, maybe your upbringing or kind of what your life looked like in alignment with Christ, like when you were younger, maybe when you strayed away, and we'll kind of get the ball rolling.
So I had a kind of a tumultuous childhood. I wouldn't wish my childhood on many people, even though I feel blessed that I had it. Okay. Because I really attribute it to where I am today. So it was a blessing, but it was a little tumultuous in the emotional sense, right?
Yeah.
So my I have to go into these details.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense if I don't.
Right.
And it's not a victim story. I'm not like, when I was a kid, I was abused. I like I told you, it was a blessing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My mom and dad weren't married when they had me. Fine, whatever. Nobody, it is what it is. That happens. But then she was 28. He was like 29. They weren't together. Accident. She had me, and already had 3 kids, and it was overwhelming and stressful. And so one day she had my dad babysit me. My dad hadn't even seen me that many times, right? Because I think what it was he got her pregnant. They were friends that partied and stuff, and he got her pregnant. And then he probably felt more like, is this really mine? How do we know? I haven't been with her in a while.
Yeah.
And he had nothing to do with it. And then she had me. And the story goes something like, 5-6 days after, he couldn't deny me, right? I looked just like him.
Yeah.
And so he came to see me and saw me just a few times. Then my mom asked him to babysit once. My family didn't even know about me on my dad's side. He was kind of like, because he already had 2 kids and 2 girls, my sisters. And she asked him to babysit. And then she went to go to Texas to see a friend or something, and she never came back.
Wow.
Okay. So, I don't know that. I'm 11 months old, right?
Yeah.
And so from that point, for the first couple of years, I was raised by my dad and my grandparents. I kind of lived with my grandparents, which my grandfather was a Pentecostal preacher in Granite City. We grew up in Illinois, on the Illinois side originally. Yeah. And he was a Pentecostal preacher. So not to get into all the details after that, but basically I lived with my grandparents and my dad. My grandparents and then my dad would visit, and then sometimes my dad would give it a run of taking me, and he just partied. He was a hard partier, and he just had that crutch of my grandparents. I could just take him back with my parents, and then he's going to be much more stable there. And so I spent a lot of time there until like 5th grade. But my grandfather's a Pentecostal preacher, and I was ADD kid for sure, off the charts. Yeah. But just wild. Climbing tree, just climbing the tree, don't climb that tree. Okay, they turn your back. I'm going to see how high I can get.
Yeah.
There's a story about my dad came over to my grandparents' house, and he was watching me. He's in the shower, and he hears the bunch of horns honking outside, because we backed up to Route 3. And Route 3 is a 55-mile-an-hour highway, 4 lanes or 6 lanes or whatever. And I had taken my tricycle out there and was doing figure eights in the middle of the highway. And all the traffic was stopped honking. Yeah. And so he came out. So I was, so when I went to church every Wednesday and every Saturday and every Sunday at a Pentecostal church, and my grandparents are from the South. So this is real Pentecostal. Passing out, speaking, 6-year-old speaking in tongues, passing out, you name it. Grandma, I don't know how long her hair was. It was always up in a bun, skirts her ankles, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But I never connected with it. I never connected with it. I never retained anything.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just was like, I have to go.
Yeah.
And then I'd sleep on my grandma's lap or try to say I'm going to go to the bathroom and sneak and play around the church or do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so fast forwarding through life, they died when I was 10. Both of them died 6 months apart of cancer. So I had to live with my dad.
Yeah.
Right.
How old was this that you had to live with your dad?
How old was I?
Yeah. 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm with him and he's a partier. He's a popular guy, partier, probably alcoholic. Well, yeah, alcoholic. And did his 80s. So there's probably a little extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so from 10 to until 16 when I moved out, I grew up around partying.
Yeah.
And that's what I looked up to. And that was what I wanted. I wanted to be like my dad.
Yeah.
Friends over all the time, girls in and out constantly, booze, drugs. That was fun. They looked like they had fun. And that's what I wanted. And, now, when you live with an alcoholic, there's also the coming home at 3 a.m. and destroying the whole house and busting shit up and pardon my language. And you have all of that traumatic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're, that's your only parent and you've been, bounced around, you forgive everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I started drinking and doing drugs at like 11.
Wow.
Sneaking it and stuff. And I grew up, by that time we were in North County, so half the neighborhood was like me, Wow. And so, I had my little crew in the neighborhood that had, messed up parents and, so I started on my way, doing drinking and drugs and stuff like that. So I grew up in a Pentecostal church till I was 10 years old, but I just never retained it. I just,
dude, that's, that's something that with the age that our kids are, which mine are 6 and 4, yours a little bit younger. New baby. So probably not yet with new baby, but, that's one of the things that like a big prayer of mine lately has just been for them to make the faith their own.
Yeah.
Cause I think a lot of the times, even when we grew up, I mean, you said it a couple episodes ago, you accepted Jesus because you were afraid to go to hell.
They're like, if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to burn in hell if you die. And I'm like, how do I know how do I know how long I'm going to live? I was like 10 years old and I was terrified.
Yeah.
So I was like, pick me. I don't want to go to hell. Like, this sounds terrible.
I feel like I totally blocked it all because if I didn't know anything, then I couldn't get punished and go to hell for these things or something.
Yeah.
Because that was a strong in Pentecostal, man. That is fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
There's not and so I look at that and I'm like, why did I never think that would apply to me? And I think I just kind of just like blocked it out.
Distance
to all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's the importance of trying to, and I'm working through it right now. I don't know the right answer to it, but trying to make your children like their faith their own, right? Not just, we say we believe in Jesus because mom and dad do, or because my school says, depending on if they go to a Christian school, whatnot. But that's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a thing that I've tried to implement, and I don't know, I'm not saying that I don't know how it's going to work for my kids, but it's like involving them in the things that we're doing, whether it be mom and dad are going to sit down and read the Bible. Like, go grab your little Bible, although you're 3 and you can't read, like just sit down with us and it's just the action of doing it. Or, hey, we're going to pray every night before we go to bed. Now, I have no control over whether or not it's my job to show my kids the way and what it looks like to be Christ-like, but it's not my job to save them.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked about that a ton on past episodes, but it's just I mean, really, it's just what example are we setting, and then showing them what it's like to be Christ-like, and then from there, they, at the end of the day, they do have to find their own way,
Get their own will.
Yeah.
I've my best that I've come up with, and through my experiences where I learned this is sharing your experience, right?
Yep.
Getting them to relate is just talk to them about real life stuff and God.
Yeah.
And then pointing people out as examples, and it's usually the bad ones stick out more than anything. So
Right.
I've always done that really regularly. Like, see that person? This is why.
Yeah.
You got he had a choice, and you got a choice. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuff
Absolutely.
like that.
Because how old are your boys?
Okay, so I have a 7-year-old and a 16-year-old, and then I have a 30-year-old,
Okay.
which always kind of blows people away at
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
About dang near our age.
Yeah. Well, I'm 50, so.
Yeah. So
How old are you guys?
I'm 31.
31?
yeah, I'm going to be 35 in December.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you grew up Pentecostal, obviously, you know, the kind of ideal lifestyle in your mind as a, you know, young kid was the party lifestyle.
Party lifestyle, yeah.
So man, 11 years old and what was it like marijuana?
Well, it would
drink?
be like, at that age, at like 10 or 11, it'd be like finishing the bottom of my dad's beers.
Yeah.
And then at 11 years old, I remember in 5th grade, I had a birthday party. It was either my 11th or my 12th, right? And I went, and this is 5th grade. Yeah, whatever. So I had we all planned this in the 5th grade, a group of 4 of us, to save our lunch money and buy joints from Gary's older brother, which is one of the kids. And so he gave him all our lunch money, and he got them, and we had a birthday party at my house. So I remember having like this kid birthday party, little kid birthday party, and then talking to my dad and letting us go out and run around in the woods and play and stuff, which is, you know, and where I was from in my neighborhood, that's where you'd go, you know.
Yeah.
And we all just sat in a circle and smoked these 5 joints.
At that age, that's wild.
And
That's hilarious.
And I know it's like, when I look at my kids, I am like, wow, like, you know, it is crazy to think of 11 or 12-year-old doing that.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I was already making moves to do this on my own. And then getting people to buy us beers and stuff like that.
So fast forward, I mean, into like teenage years, is that just more of the same?
Man, by the time I was arrested for the first time when I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, I got arrested for, and I got out of it because I was young, but I think they called it burglary, maybe assault and burglary. I forget, but I learned something new in that when you go to someone's house to fight them, and if it goes into their house, they can get burglary and all kinds of stuff. Even though this kid and I were having problems, you know, and in North County, like, you grew up fighting, right? It wasn't like it is today. And so I went to his house and went in his house and got in a fight with him, and then left, and I got that charge. So I was arrested, and then I got caught with drugs in 7th grade. And long story short, man, by the time I was 16, I was going into treatment. By the time I was 17, I was dropped out of high school, dropped out, and just out there, just living like an adult, and I have been ever since. When you start that young, though, man, what I didn't know is when you started, like, I was trying to fill a hole is what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
There was a hole where God should be.
Yep.
And I'm a kid, and I have no nurturing growing up, and emotionally just no maturity. I didn't grow. I wasn't raised. I went to 11 schools with my dad jumping around all over the place, renting and whatever. And so I just had no emotional maturity whatsoever. And so I was like this raw nerve, you know, and I had no God is what I know today. You know what I mean? So I filled it with booze, drugs, women, whatever I could.
Right.
And I was never going to be like my dad. Now, my dad ended up getting sober too, like when I was like 15 or 16. That's one of the reasons that led to me leaving, is because then he came home from treatment, this super strict guy. And I'm like, come on, you know, it's too late, bro. Like I lived my whole life like this. Now, all of a sudden you're going to be telling me this is bad. I watched you do it every day of my life. And so I moved out, but my teenage years it started off fun. And I was happy to be out of the house. I was happy to be out of school. But when you start that young, man, your runway is short.
Yeah.
Like it was addiction. It was, harder drugs. It was harder drugs than that. It was like I couldn't fill the hole.
Yeah.
And when my dad and his friends were in their 30s and 40s, and they had jobs, and they had started as adults, so I think they had a little more emotional maturity, and they could live that lifestyle. Today's world, where they start so young, man, I feel like you skip over, you skip over any development you might have, and then you just need the drugs or booze to feel normal. And so, my teenage years were crazy. Yeah. I thought they were fun, but then they quickly turned into my teenage years car accidents. I was ejected through the back window of a Mustang on Interstate 270. Mm-hmm. We were drunk driving, partying. Yeah. I had another accident. It was pretty bad. Near life death experiences. Yeah. And so it was wild and crazy. I mean, just imagine, that kid drinking at 11 and what it, I mean, what's he, he's not going to Harvard. The next step. Yeah. The next steps are that. And so that's where I found myself. Yeah. In my late teens. Yeah, and then how did that, I guess... Those were the beginning of leading me to something, to God. Yeah. To finding something else to fill that hole. Yeah. So walk through that. So late teens, as you get into your 20s, what's going on? I still think I felt like I got into like 2021, and then I started having friends die here and there from drugs or booze. Yeah. And it started getting more real. And then I started... I started realizing like that I really didn't have much of a choice anymore. That it started out as I'm doing this because I love to party and have fun, like girls and all this other things that came along with it, and it became okay. I'm just gonna maybe get stabilized, get my life in order, and just drink on weekends. And then Monday I'd be drunk and end up out doing drugs, cocaine, other things. Okay, I'll start today, Tuesday. Nope, did it again on Tuesday. I just started to realize I literally had no choice anymore. It was like all of a sudden I paused long enough to find out really I wasn't doing, this was no longer a choice. Wow. I had to live this way. Yeah. And I went through a couple year phase of trying to figure out the right strategy. Okay, I'm not going to drink hard liquor anymore. I'm just going to drink beer and smoke a little pot. Okay, that didn't help anything. I still went to the extreme. Okay, I'm going to not do drugs. I'm just going to drink just anything. I'm going to hang out with this group. I'm going to hang out with that group. Changed any and everything I could, except for God, right? And I just went through everything I could, and I only got worse nonstop. Wow. And at that point, I start seeing a lot of the people that I partied with start to turn it off and go get jobs or they're going to get married. And I'm like, okay, I want to turn it off too. And I want to be like these people. Yeah. But it just, I found myself hanging out with 35-year-olds that, were lifelong drug addicts because no one did it like I did it anymore. And I hated it. And I hated myself. I couldn't stop. Well, and you already had a decade under your belt. I already had a decade under my belt. Yeah. I was burnout. By 2021, 22. Wow. Like, and so that kind of element of you said something earlier, searching. Yeah. And like, were you, so was there like a searching period and then it became a necessity, or did you feel like you were just still constantly searching? It was fun. And the only way I ever felt normal was drinking or, being on drugs. Yeah. I always felt awkward. I always felt different. Yeah. I always felt like I wasn't cool enough, or I was way cooler than you, or I'm not super smart like this crowd. I'm not super cool like this crowd. I just felt, but when I drank, you guys wanted to be friends with me in my mind, right? Yeah. It just it filled that hole, man. I'm telling you, right? Like, so I don't remember what the question was, but how's it about the searching? Yeah. So I had found it. I would live that way forever, right? Like that was my solution, booze and drugs. I found it. And, but then when it stopped working, so it was like, it stopped filling the hole, but I had to do it now, you know? So now I'm just a drug addict and a drunk. And it's doing nothing for me. I'm drunk and I'm on drugs and I still have the hole and feel separated and alienated from everybody.
Yeah.
It stopped working. It was like a trick.
Dude.
Oh, dude, this is the best thing you'll ever have, man. It fixes everything. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I got you now. Oh, cool. All right. Now it's not going to do crap for you.
Yeah.
Dude,
And you're just stuck with it.
I mean, that's the tactic of the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, period, point blank. I mean, with anything, any of the, with lust or whatever.
Yeah.
You start tasting it, and it's like that sin feels fun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like you're feeding your flesh, and then it eventually leads to destruction, unless God intervenes.
And I think God lets some of us, but I'll speak for me, get to the place that's exactly the place that we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to hear Him.
Yep.
And
100%.
some of the spots are deeper than others.
Yeah.
Some bottoms are lower than others.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had to get to a place to where I identified this, like after I got sober and started like every day praying and looking for God in a way that, I could take away this and help me stay sober. Because that's really all I looked for was like, just take this away. And show me how to be sober. And it evolved and it turned into your will, not mine, be done. Because now I'm realizing there's more to it than you just taking them. Like, okay, I'm going to take your drug addiction, alcoholism away. And I'm going to be like, thanks God, I got this now. I'm not good at it with or without booze. Right. So I needed him to run my life at that point. But, it was, I was sitting in this, in a recovery group, and I was like, and I realized I was fantasizing of walking out in front of a bus and getting hit by a bus. Mm-hmm. And it's just giving me this warm and fuzzy feeling. Mm-hmm. And I realized, wow, I was like, holy crap, I do that all day. Right. I'm like trying to fight through and get this God thing. Right. And like live. And I remember like, how long I've been doing that. And I've been doing that for a couple of years. Like the warm and fuzzy feeling I could get would be think about just this all being over. It's just too hard.
Wow. Yeah.
But I never had a conscious thought to go shoot myself or do anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I was too worried about what people would think of me. Like I didn't want to go out like some coward or something. But boy, I really would wish that there was a button someone would just push and this could all just be over.
Yeah.
Because it was just a struggle.
Yeah. I've experienced that in my life. I've heard it plenty of times now that pattern is not. It's not a unique pattern. It's fun to dependence to destruction, and a lot of times there are some suicidal ideations involved in that.
Yeah, man.
And like that's all like a ploy of the enemy.
Yeah. He might, like, sin is fun for a season. Like you said, the next step is like, oh, now I kind of need to do it, and now like I feel like I'm worthless.
Yeah, now now it's not even helping me anymore, and I have to do it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's like terrible.
Yeah, I'll get pretty vulnerable. There's a time where like, and I was a military guy, so like I had a lot of structure in my life. Like, thank God, because if I didn't, I who knows what would have become of me.
Yeah.
So right out of school, I got shipped out to West Point and had all the structure of the military academy, which was one of the biggest blessings of my life. When I got out of the military, though, it was like free reign. Like I could do whatever. At the time, I wasn't a Christ follower. I had dabbled. I knew that God was real. There was always like a pull, but I would kind of put it back in mind, right? Like I was young. I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And got out of the military, and there was a season where and it wasn't anything, hard or anything like that, but whether it was alcohol or weed, like I was doing it every single night. And it wasn't to the point of just like, oh, this is just I would justify it. Oh, just take the edge off a little bit. Right. Like I had a long day.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the personalities in this room, I think it's safe to say, like, we don't ever just go for the layups,
Yeah,
right? Like
It's a 360 slam dunk.
So I was getting, like, whether it was weed, I was getting, like, out of my mind, high, or just completely obliterated drunk. You had already been saved. There's one time where I don't know what. This is the last time I smoked weed ever.
I remember that night. You called me, yeah.
Yeah, so I was sitting there. Whenever my wife and kids left, I was like, all right, this is my time. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And for whatever reason, I went to the safe and I put the gun on the built-in. And I think at first I was thinking, like, oh, I'm by myself. Like, I'm a little out of it. Like, I just protection, right?
Yeah.
As clear as I've ever heard the devil's voice, he was telling me to grab it and kill myself. And I remember I called him and I was just like, dude, like, you got to get over here. And I was trying to downplay it with you. I was just like, oh, I don't think it's a big deal, but dude, like I, as clear as I've ever heard the devil's voice, he was telling me to grab that gun and to shoot myself.
Yeah.
And then, dude, and here's the crazy part about that. That was only about a year and a half of that, right? Like it wasn't, 10 years. So I can only imagine, like, how deep rooted that kind of gets.
Yeah. It was a while when I was sober, like 30 days and trying to do this deal, or 6 months. And I was feeling that, like, just being over. I realized I'd done that for a while. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it eventually went away, and thank God, But, like, back to what I said in the beginning, I think God lets us suffer exactly to the point we need to, and some got to go lower than others.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was part of my journey. We could look at it as like that was the devil, and it probably was. But I feel like sometimes God lets the devil have his way because it's part of his plan.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Dude, I mean, a lot of it is because that's sometimes the challenge to discern between. It's like, oh, like, God, why are you letting this happen to me? There's a funny little meme out there where it's like anxiety is the thing that this meme's targeting. Well, it's like, God, like, why do I feel so anxious all the time? Well, it's like you woke up, you drank an energy drink, you put in a bunch of Zins, you're dehydrated, you didn't sleep well. It's like,
you're on your phone 10 hours a day.
I didn't do this to you. You are making your own decision. So I think that's important kind of distinction to kind of talk about. I think God allows us to go through struggles, and he allows the ramifications of our free will to kind of play out.
Well, it was the same thing that happened to King Saul before David became king. He had a decision to make, and he defied what God said. He didn't make the decision that God told him to make. And from there, he allowed the spirit of torment to get after him. Like, that's what happened. And then it was his own free will. He could have made the decision and stayed the king of Israel and did the right thing, but he let pride and ego run rampant, and he thought, I can take the reins. And
well, there's consequences for things we do, and it's like, and I believe that's the same with God. He allows us to make all the mistakes we want to make. He's always there through the whole thing, is what I've learned. God was there with me when I was 11. He was there with me when I was getting arrested. He was there with me when I was getting ejected from the car. I just didn't want him. Apparently. Someone said to me once, and it really brought this home, this little cliche, said, when someone said, I'm looking for God, I'm trying to find God, it's like, why are you looking? He ain't lost. It's like, he's always there. I realized he was always there. I just had to turn to him, because all it took me that day was be like, God, please help me stay sober and take some action. And it was like, yeah, cool. We'll go that direction. We're just waiting.
So walk us through, that recovery that you were going through. I know a little bit in the pre-talk you mentioned that, they do try to utilize like a higher power.
Absolutely.
And stuff. So walk through that for you. Like, how did that start? For me, it
was awesome because when another sober friend realized, when I went to them and said, okay, I'm willing to try anything. This is bad. And we went to a meeting with other people in recovery that were just like me. And they all shared that they decided to rely on a higher power. They call it of their choice, right? A higher power of your choice to help run our lives and to turn our lives over to. Basically the concept was, and these are all new concepts to me, was, well, you've had it this whole time and look at where you're at. So what's it going to hurt? Like, what do you have to lose, you know?
Yeah.
And it was, and I was taught to pray in the mornings, God, please keep me sober, please, you know, and that there was, I couldn't get myself sober. Stop trying all these different things. There's nothing you can do. You are powerless.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you stay sober that day, make sure to thank him at night. But the key was I saw all these people doing what we're doing right now. They were sharing their stories. Oh, I was ejected from a car. I was this. I started when I was 10, or, you know, and stories or lives are harder than mine. Or guys like you guys, you know, 30, 35 years old, young family, sees themselves going down a bad path, and well, they don't want to lose everything. They don't want to get as far.
Yeah.
And I started realizing that the one thing all these people had, two things they had in common. One, they have felt just like I have, and that I explained to you guys, which no one understands. There's not a therapist, a doctor, a parent in the world that's going to describe that feeling to you. So I realized I was in the right room, and they all prayed and relied on God, and they didn't have to drink anymore or do drugs. And so I just bought in.
Yeah.
And that the difference there is alcohol. A lot of us come with a lot of prejudice against the Bible and God.
Yeah.
Whether it be we grew up in churches where you're beaten over the head with it, or, you know, you see people that claim Christianity and they do terrible things.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. That's not Christianity. That's not the Bible. That's the person, right? But and so they're like, when they, you know, recovery kind of adopted this, we're going to let people find their own way. We just want to get them here, get them a start to, because the solution is something bigger than you.
Yeah.
Right. And tap into that. Then everything can happen from there. And then you work through steps and learn spiritual principles to practice in your life. And that's how you get sober. That's a short rundown of it. But what I've realized is it's all out of the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, some people might stick with a higher power of their understanding. So for years, I prayed every day. I prayed throughout the day. God, your will, not mine, be done. When I was scared, I would try to take away my fear, direct my attention to what you would have me be, and walk into the situation and just trust. If I was resentful or I would pray, and pray in the morning and thank him at night and do these things, which my life dramatically changed.
Yeah.
Like it totally changed from there. And I found Jesus and Christianity later and realized for me that I already found God years before, and I found Jesus later, you know, in the Bible. You know.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you know, you were doing it. Did you know, like, do you believe that because of your background, like it was like the Christian God you were praying to, or like because I can see, you know, if.
Yeah. I just said God.
Yeah.
Like, God help me.
Yeah.
And then I was meaning that God. Right. But, once it's really a hard one to explain the process, because it was a really tough for me when I got into church, and then I was challenged one day to learn about Jesus through the Gospels.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I was reading those Gospels and listening to them really over and over again, right, and listening to them, it's almost like, oh my gosh, like it made what I already knew make sense.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Because I was already living it for years.
Yeah.
But I just hadn't got to it the way most traditional people do through the Bible. Like I learned, like if you think about what if someone grows up on an island and never sees the Bible in his life, is he going to hell? And I'm like, I know the Bible talks about that. I don't know the details, but I know they talk about that. But I'm telling you right now, you can find God on an island.
Yeah.
Okay. I have that because that's how I feel like I did it. You know, when I got here and started reading about that Bible, what I realized is I was reaping the benefits of this for years, practicing it, helping other people in my own way. And then, but now I just needed to know it and be able to give credit.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Instead of just taking the rewards.
Yeah. So there's in Acts, I'm going to butcher this, so pardon, but there was a guy, I'm going to paraphrase so that I'm not, but there was the guy that started kind of preaching, and all he knew was like John the Baptist, like baptizing Jesus and stuff like that. He didn't know the crucifixion or the resurrection or anything like that. Like he only knew the front half. So he got up and he was just enthusiastic. He was on fire just from that part of the story.
Yeah.
He had a whole kind of like the real big part of the story, like he was missing. And then I think some of the leaders in Acts, grabbed him and kind of taught him through that. And that kind of brings that up with you. It's like, God was seeking you out and trying to find you. And although like you couldn't like label it as what later you realized
he
what
met
it was.
me where I was at, right? Plucked me from where I was.
Yeah.
And I have worked with a lot of guys and helped a lot of people get sober over the years, and prison work and everything. And for my own sobriety, because giving it away is the best way to keep something or get better at it, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, he used me where I was at. And I guess maybe sometimes I feel like he knew that was the level he needed me at. And that, and when I was ready to absorb the rest of it, then it was time. You know, I don't know. I had a real struggle with people who are going to go to hell that don't find this for years. Yeah. And it kept me kind of on the steps of the Bible, because I'd never wanted to judge anybody, because I knew I was a crappy person and kid, and grew up in a super dysfunctional family that if you wrote my resume for who I was, it was mom and dad were married. They both had many children. I was an accident. I was dumped off. Mom left, all this, like grew up, bounced around 11 schools. I would be someone you'd never, I don't want to leave anyone behind, right? Yeah. I don't want to, and I'm like, what if I would have died at 17 or 18? Am I going to go to hell? Yeah. What chance did I have?
Right.
And so I had a real struggle. I would be like, kind of quietly like, yeah, Jesus, thank you for, Jesus dying on the cross, God, and resurrecting him. And I believe. But at the same time, I didn't want to say that out loud to people, because I didn't want anyone to go, oh, he's one of those guys. And I never get a chance to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're prejudiced of it. And so, but until a couple years ago, when I was challenged to read the Gospels, because they're like, no, man, you got it wrong. And read those Gospels. You don't have to judge anyone. You don't have to, I read it and it was just like, wow, it was like everything made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was where my kind of journey started, even though I had years in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a rambling. Like I told you guys at the beginning, this is all, I'm feeling my way through that stuff.
That's good. Yeah. And Jesus, kind of what you were talking about before you actually started reading the Bible and started understanding the gospel. It's like Jesus does say, like, my yoke is easy and my burden's light. It's not supposed to be extremely difficult to follow Jesus. And part of our responsibility as Christians is to be disciples. So yeah, some people might not know, like in your situation, like, you were taught from your grandparents at a young age and you fell off, and then you found God, and then you found the Gospels. Yeah. But it's like, it's also, when I hear you talk about that, it also makes me think as Christians, like, we have a duty to give back the way you've been giving back. Yeah. Like going and helping, bringing people along. And you don't have to beat them over the head with the Bible. Yeah. Hey, you just going in, being a good guy. People know you by your fruits. You're going in, you're helping people. And then once you get to a point where you build that relationship, then it's like, hey man, this is what really changed my life.
Yeah.
Like I had these voids, or I had this hole, but now it's all filled by the Gospels.
Yeah.
So I think you have the right heart in the way that you're doing things. It's like, it's hard. It is a hard situation, especially in today's society, on like preaching the gospel and not scaring people away.
Yeah. And I wonder too, if being raised in such a hardcore Christian environment, there's like some guilt or something inside, because my grandparents were wonderful.
Yeah.
But they were hardcore.
Yeah.
And a part of that teaching is, fire and brimstone is a lot of guilt and shame in you into doing this, being a follower and believer, it was more of the tactic, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so there's some of that in me, and it made it a little hard to, commit all the way. And,
So what, once you kind of, your eyes were opened to the Gospels and what they mean for us and the forgiveness and the grace and all of that stuff, like what did that feel like? Like what transpired after that?
It was, so I was already doing a lot of I was already living this way, and I'd already, was living every day to try to be of service.
Yeah.
Right. And to be an example, because I was taught that let people be attracted to you. Don't promote, let people be attracted to you. So that's all you working on you. So that people want to go like, what's going on with you? Why are you sober? Why are you this? Why are you that? And then you get an opportunity to open up. Yeah. And so it made me realize that what I was doing was real. Yeah. And it wasn't just this imaginary God, that if I lived this way, steps A, B, C, and D, that I would have this hole filled, right? And that and every day I had to get up and earn it. I still do believe in earning it and having standards.
Of course.
But I realized that that there was a reason for all of this. It's hard to explain. And that Jesus was sacrificed so that this is really how I looked at it. Okay. This tells you my mindset and how I was raised. I went like, wow, I swear I had this moment. Like, Jesus is the OG. Like, he didn't snitch on anybody. He got hung on that cross and tortured and never said, okay, you're right, let me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he could have. And then we'd all be accountable for our own actions.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, he knew that by doing this, that we would all get to go to heaven no matter our sins, as long as, we repent and we believe in Jesus Christ. Right?
Yeah.
And like, all he had to do, he could have saved his butt at any time.
Yeah.
And like, he was tortured and died for us.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, I thought that was my first thought. He's the OG, man. He's a real. He didn't roll over on nobody. Yeah. He could have saved his skin and not gotten life in prison because they hated him. Yeah. Right. They thought they were so threatened by him. They wanted to kill him, and he could have saved his butt, and he didn't for us.
Yeah, I mean, he was the ultimate example of a man, like what a man is supposed to be.
Yeah, and so I was like, wow, it gave it new meaning on not being scared to say that I believe in Jesus and love Jesus, and that is my God. That one, like God and his son Jesus, and it. That was how it came to my level.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean that's good.
That's what I mean.
When I was thinking that, I was like, because obviously he is God, but he also came down as man. But he was the example, the true example of like what a manly man is.
He felt it.
Yeah,
he was human.
Yeah.
He was like suffered.
Yeah,
he could have rolled over at any moment. Instead, he even pray to God. Like he would pray to God, like,
Yeah, take this cup from me.
yeah,
it's your will.
but he just did it. And I was like, and I grew up loving gangster movies, and I grew up in the area and around people. We were doing kind of things where you had to have some codes and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it right there, man. That's, I mean, it's, that was like, okay, I'm that. That's my guy. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my guy. Okay. You know, like, heck yeah, I want to be like him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want my kids, my friends, my family. I want everyone to be okay because I held the line.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dude, it reminds me of actually the clip that I sent Joey.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen the clip, Debo from Friday?
I don't know. I don't remember.
So he was like, man, he's like, you guys think 50's gangster for being shot 9 times? He's like, Jesus rose. He rose from the dead.
Yeah.
He's like, now that's gangster. And he starts yelling. And he's like, like,
no, really.
Makes me think of that.
Yeah. Well, that part, even the rising from the dead, is all God thing.
Yeah.
Before that, I'm like, that was like, man, I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, every man for himself.
Yeah.
Just let me off of this cross, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm still learning and I'm living it. And like I said in the beginning, every day praying, trying to get quiet so I can mean this stuff and, get, maybe hear something and get deeper.
Yeah. Well, here's some things that I've kind of learned lately, because I've been going through a journey where I've been struggling with discernment. Like and for me, discernment is hearing God's voice.
Yeah.
And it's challenging, especially if you think about it in a way that's like, oh, I'm going to pray and then God's going to respond to me. It's like the big couple points that I've learned from this and talking to other people is like, number one, like God's going to work on his own timeline, right? Not your timeline. And for us, I would imagine in our industry and what we do, patience is not of the highest. So it's like understanding that, man, that number one, that discernment piece is an absolute muscle. And this is coming from, the lunch I had earlier today. It's like all you can do is make the next right decision.
Yes.
Right? Make the next right decision. Wake up every day. Be obedient to what God wants you to do. Then you go to sleep and then you wake up and you do it all over again. And then if you're kind of in that alignment with God, he's going to reveal himself to you, right? Through opportunities, through open doors, through, hey, there's somebody over here, like, Jeff, they're struggling, man. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think sometimes, like, I even get in my own mind, it's like, man, I want to hear the audible voice of God, right? Like you read scriptures and you're like, I want, like, where's that at? And it's like, no, like that's there. It might show up in a different way, but it all comes about through that daily obedience and just making the next right move.
That's it. Like I have lived that way for a long time, working on living that way, being able to make the next decision to the best of my ability and just trusting God, leaving the results to God.
Yeah.
I call it getting out of the results business. Like, dude, you're out of the results business. Stop. You made the decision, do it, leave the results to God. It's going to turn out better than you could have planned. So let it go. But, and I feel like we just work like that's another thing to starting your day off and being more prepared and set in a place for the day. So the next right decision is the right decision. And it's not self-will because you got off the beam. Like I can go days. I used to go weeks or months ripping through life, making selfish decisions and not even realize I wasn't on the beam anymore until something came down the pipe, problem with relationship, problem with work, oh my. And then I look back and go, oh my gosh, I haven't prayed. I haven't done any of the stuff I need to do. There's been no God in any of the decision. This is all me. How'd I take over again? And I didn't even realize it. Yeah. And then have to reset and then everything,
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's a big testament to those disciplines, and it's, the one thing that I want to say whenever I bring up a discipline, like I got to kind of qualify it with this, like it's not that you're doing something to check a box.
No.
Your heart behind it, like you still want to be intentional, but those disciplines, like, getting into the word every day, praying every day, like those are things that you kind of have to do. Your exact point, in order to be in alignment with God. Like if you take 5 days not praying to God and you just decide, I'm gonna go make this big decision.
Yeah.
I would question your ability to be in alignment with God if you're.
You don't do it for a reward. Everyone, look at me. Yeah. I'm stopping, reading, and praying and meditating. No, I need that because honestly, I'm a sick guy. I will just rip and run and be selfish as hell on my own.
Yeah.
And I have to bring God into it intentionally to put myself in a good. That way, if I'm making a decision that day and I've brought God in and I have been in the alignment the best that I can be, for me, I can make that decision confidently that even if it's the wrong one or even if it doesn't work out, I'm okay because I know I'm doing my stuff. I'm not, and I'm doing I'm in line. My contact and relationship with God is strong and I can do it and go about my business and leave the results up to him one way or the other.
And then, dude, what kind of freedom comes from that kind of relationship?
It's like, I went from drug addict, alcoholic, complete insecurity my whole life, right? Like I had no foundation for life.
Yeah.
We're all raising our kids and every day we worry about everything they do or don't do because we want to make them stable and make, good, make them balanced people, knowing they're going to make mistakes, but at least if they have a strong foundation, they won't be too hardcore. Well, I never had any of that. And so I went from that to the freedom is I have nothing to worry about. I am off the hook of life. Meaning like I got God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the freedom, is it not? Me? So,
and it is hard to describe.
It is. It really is. It's like
hard,
a feeling.
Yeah. It's hard to describe. And that's exactly what it is. It's like put everything aside. It's like, man, that whether God continues to bless you in whatever areas of life or he takes it all away, it's like, dude, it's really, it goes back to having that eternal mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, man, God, you can, and I don't know if this is God's will, but if he allows it, you can be beaten and battered and all these different things. And it's like,
it's what Paul says. It's to live is Christ and to die is gain. It's like when you live in that, where it's like, if I'm going to live for Christ, but if I die, I'm going to be at the pearly gates. You're dangerous there.
Yeah.
You can't be swayed in that moment, which is
powerful.
It is a powerful place.
Cool, man. Well, dude, fantastic conversation. I appreciate you coming on and
man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. Being vulnerable and talking about, some hard things and, yeah, man. Anything you need from us, we got you on the spiritual side.
Awesome.
But yeah, so if people want to kind of learn more about you, maybe they're interested in the business stuff, whatever they want to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
On Instagram, I'm under Jeffrey Garner or Rags to Real Estate.
Okay.
The Rags to Real Estate. My business is Homestretch Property Management. I'm trying to build up my content on Rags to Real Estate because eventually I want to reach as many people as possible and maybe start doing a little coaching, whether it be in, being a man, spirituality, entrepreneurship, just whatever. Use my experience to help people. So I'm building that up over time, but my focus is really on the business side. But Rags to Real Estate or Homestretch Property Management.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Follow me and I throw some stuff out there here and there.
There we go.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, if you get any value from this episode, I hope you guys, like it, leave some comments. Obviously there's somebody out there that's going through what you went through. Yep. And I hope that, our prayer for whoever that is listening is that, Jesus is the answer, right? Like having a relationship with God after all those years of searching.
Yep.
That relationship with God has led you to that freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Total freedom.
That's awesome, man. Well, appreciate you guys listening in. This is another episode of the Knock Podcast. Thanks for tuning into The Knock. If this story moved you or made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope. Follow us on social media at The Knock Podcast for more content. And remember, God is always knocking. The question is, will you answer?